By what name are you known?
There are some who call me Tim.
Welcome to another episode of Timmy Talks, the channel where we talk old school magic. And today we are back in Italy, in Conegliano, for the second day of the Prosecco Cup and day 2. It's my favorite day. Why? This is the day where they celebrate flavor decks. Everybody is playing with a cool deck, or at least they should be. So today we have another really cool and exciting match for you between Giacomo and Enrico. And Giacomo is playing a deck built around the card Metamorphosis. So maybe you're wondering, what does that card do? Well, good question. Here you can see it on the screen. He's built a deck around this bad boy and it's looking really, really cool. But more about that in the deck tech section. And he is taking on Enrico, and Enrico is playing a Thrulls deck. So it's pretty sweet. He's also playing with Ebon Praetor. This card is so cool. I mean, I really love this card. I remember as a little Timmy that I was like, oh, I want to play with this card. It looked so powerful. But yeah, so he's playing Thrulls. And yeah, those are the matches. So Metamorphosis versus Thrulls. This is going to be fun, right? Before I start with the deck decks, I've got beautiful photos of both of these decks. I would first like to tell you a little bit about my Patreon page. Hi, me hearties. If you would like to support the show, you can become a patron at patreon.com/TimmyTalks. We have 3 different patron levels. You can join as an apprentice for just $1 a month. And this will give you access to the Timmy Talks Discord, and you can join in on all the Timmy Talks online tournaments, such as the Color Clash and the Reprint Masters. You can also become a supporter at the Sorcerer level for just $2 a month. When you are a Sorcerer, your name will be mentioned in the end scroll, and if you want, you can play a game against, well, me. But there is more. If you become a supporter at the Pirate level, we can even make an episode together. Aye! Haha! You can also choose to pay annually for a 10% discount. So what are you waiting for, me hearty? Visit patreon.com/TimmyTalks and join the Timmy Talks crew. Arrgh! And we are back and ready to dive into the deck techs, and I'm going to start with the player on the left. That is Giacomo. Let's take a look at his deck. And here we see the deck of Giacomo. So this deck is built around Metamorphosis. So maybe just start with that card, Metamorphosis, a card from Arabian Nights, 1 green for a sorcery that reads, as an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature, then add X mana of any one color, where X is 1 plus the sacrificed creature's mana value. Spend this mana only to cast creature spells. So when you're playing with Metamorphosis, the idea is that you start sacking creatures to cast bigger creatures, right? Because you have the +1 mana. And of course, after that, you can also pay extra. You know, you can tap more lands to even get more mana, as long as you use that mana from the Metamorphosis to cast a creature. Now, there's a really cool synergy in this deck, and that's the synergy between Metamorphosis and Rook Egg, because Rook Egg is an 0/3 creature, and when it dies, you get a 4/4 bird token in your next end step. So what you want to do, right, you want to use your Metamorphosis to sacrifice the Rook Egg, then you get 4 mana +1, so 5 mana of any color that you can spend to cast something. Then you can maybe tap another mana, you know, choose to get 5 red out of it, tap another mana, and then you can cast like a Shivan Dragon. And of course, you still get that 4/4 flying bird token in your next end step. So that's pretty good, you know, that's good value. Another really nice card that the Metamorphosis works together really well is the Phoenix. So the Phoenix is a card for 6, is a card from Legend, so 6 mana for a 3/2 flyer, which is not great, but when it dies, it actually goes back to your hand. Now the thing is, you cannot play it out the next turn, right? But you can play it out again the turn after. But of course, the nice thing here is with Metamorphosis is you do get the mana, you get to cast something bigger, maybe like a Colossus of Sardia, you know, which is also in this deck. So you can do some really cool stuff. Then there's also another card in your deck that wants you to sacrifice things for mana. That card is called Sacrifice. It's 1 black, and you can sacrifice a creature, and then you get black mana equal to the casting cost of that creature. So you can use your sacrifice to just gain a lot of black mana, and then again, you know, you can use that mana for whatever. There's, for example, a Fireball in your 2, I believe, so that can work quite well. He's also playing with Brain Geyser, so Brain Geyser with all those manas from sacrifice can work quite well just to draw a lot of cards. So, you know, there are some neat little synergies in this deck, and I just think personally that it's really cool to see somebody trying to build a deck around Metamorphosis. It's one of those cards that, you know, it looks really interesting, but usually doesn't do anything, and it's really hard to find a home for it. So I really think it's cool that players like Giacomo are trying to find a home for Metamorphosis, and I'm kind of excited to to see this deck in action. I think it's really sweet. And there was one other thing that I believe I wanted to discuss with you with the Metamorphosis, and I'm just now looking at the deck photo to see if there's some other synergy. Oh yeah, of course, we've got the Animate Deaths in here. That's what I wanted to mention. A full playset of Animate Deaths, and of course Animate Deaths really fits that theme of second creatures go into the graveyard. You can use your Animate Death to get them back. And I think what you really want to do with this deck is just get those Rook Eggs out, sack them, play bigger creatures, get your 4/4 flyer, use your Animate Death, get the egg back, and do the whole thing over and over again, right? Just try to get as much value out of those Rook Eggs as you possibly can. But yeah, this is looking like a good deck. But remember, he is going to play against a Thrull deck, and the Thrull deck maybe is going to be a little bit too quick, and maybe it'll overwhelm Giacomo in the match. Talking about that, let's take a look at that deck. And here we see the deck of Enrico, and Enrico's deck is all about Thrulls. And Thrulls is a creature type that got introduced in Fallen Empires. And I remember as a little Timmy that I was really excited. I just loved tribes and tribal decks because you always had this feeling of, okay, these cards belong together. This makes sense. And that kind of looks beautiful, don't you think? When cards seem to be made for each other. And it's also really nice as a starting Magic player, which I was at the time when Fallen Empires came out, that you start really understanding what synergy means. And in tribal cards, the synergy is pretty clear. And that's basically what you kind of need when you're starting to play. Now, this deck has some really cool cards that I think I want to talk about. The first one that I want to look at is Ebon Praetor. So Ebon Praetor is a 5/5 for 2 black and 4 from Fallen Empires. And a black card that has Trample and First Strike. I don't believe there are any other black cards in Old School that have both those abilities on the card. So Trample and First Strike. But then, of course, there's a downside because these cards always had to be kind of nerfed down a little bit because, you know, back in the day, people were like, ooh, this is a 5/5 for 6 mana. That's really good. Well, actually, it's not that impressive, but okay. So it's got a downside because during your upkeep, you put a -2/-2 counter on the Praetor. Now, you may sacrifice a creature during your upkeep to remove this counter from the Praetor. If the creature sacrificed this way was a Thrull, you can put a +1/+0 counter on the Ebon Praetor. Only one creature may be sacrificed in this manner. So basically you want to make sure that you have Thrulls to sacrifice to the Praetor, and then the Praetor will get bigger. And remember, the Ebon Praetor has First Strike. So +1/+0 on the Praetor really matters. You know, if it's 6 First Strike, you know, it can take down a Mahamoti Djinn, you know, so the Ebon Praetor can be very powerful. But of course, you need to sack Thrulls. Where are you going to get those Thrulls from? Well, we have Breeding Pit in this deck. Breeding Pit, 1 black and 3 for an enchantment, also from Fallen Empires. During your upkeep, you have to pay black or bury the pit. And at the end of your turn, you put a Thrull token into play. Treat this token as an 0/1 black creature. And this is a Thrull creature. That's very important. So you can feed that to the Ebon Praetor. The Ebon Praetor can become bigger. But also, if you don't have the Ebon Praetor on the board, you do have the Breeding Pit on the board. It's also a very good card because there's really nice synergy with the Bad Moons. We have Bad Moons in this deck as well. They give all black creatures +1/+1. The 0/1 Thrull, of course, is a black creature also. So you're making 1/2 creatures now instead of 0/1 creatures. That's really better, of course, than just making 0/1s. And then there's some other synergy with the Breeding Pit. Breeding Pit actually kind of a key card, I think, in this deck. And that is with the card Remove Soul. Or no, sorry, a Soul Exchange. I'm mixing some cards up. Soul Exchange is the card. I mean, also from Fallen Empires. So sorcery for 2 black. Beautiful art, by the way, by Anthony Waters. And what this card does is it says sacrifice a creature but remove it from the game instead of putting it into your graveyard. Take a creature from your graveyard and put it directly into play as though it were just summoned. Put a +2/+2 counter on this creature if the creature's sacrifice was a Thrull. So you can sack an 0/1 Thrull token that was made by the Breeding Pit to the Soul Exchange to get maybe a big Thrull back, maybe the Ebon Praetor back from your graveyard into the game with a +2/+2 counter on it, you know, so that's huge. And the nice thing is, besides, of course, these Thrulls, he's also playing with a few Thrulls that you want to sacrifice if they're not blocked. So instead of dealing damage, you can sacrifice them. And you've got a few different types of Thrulls that have this ability, and the one that I want to discuss is Necrite. So Necrite, I mean, look at this horror kind of style art, right? I mean, isn't it super spooky? Beautiful art here by Ron Spencer. But Necrite, so Necrite's a 2/2 for 2 black and 1 that reads, if Necrite attacks and is not blocked, you may sacrifice it to bury a target creature controlled by the player Necrite attack this turn. If you do so, Necrite deals no damage during combat. So Necrite is sacrificed, right? Goes to the graveyard, and then you can later get it back, you know, with the Soul Exchange. But what I like here about Necrite is that it can destroy any creature. So usually with black creature removal, you got kind of the terror effect, right? That you cannot kill black creatures or artifact creatures, but Necrite doesn't care about this at all. So with Necrite, you can do both. So, I mean, that's pretty sweet. There are a lot of other really cool cards in here that I can discuss with you because I just love this Thrull theme. But, you know, if you want to, just check out your Fallen Empire binder and read the cards again. It's just a lot of fun. And I have to say, I really love it. I'm happy to see this deck, Enrico. And this is going to be a really great matchup, I think. You know, Metamorphosis deck is also looking really, really sweet. I think the Thrull deck probably wants to try to outrun the Metamorphosis deck because the Metamorphosis deck has bigger creatures. So if the Thrull deck can kind of outrun the Metamorphosis deck and simply create too many creatures, a swarm strategy, then it can definitely win. But if the Metamorphosis deck can stay alive, stabilize, get the bigger creatures on the board, oof, it's going to be a tough matchup. Although, the card I haven't mentioned next to Ebon Praetor, we also have a Lord of the Pit in this deck, which is going to be very sweet. This is going to be a cool match. You know what? Let's go to the match. Let's check it out. Let's see what's going to happen when these two decks battle with each other. Game number 1 here is about to start. Enrico on the play. He's the player on the right. He's playing a Thrulls, mono black. And Giacomo sitting on the left. He's playing a deck built around Metamorphosis, a 3-color deck. He just drew the card for turn. Oh, and look at this, putting Rasputin Dreamweaver into the graveyard. Does that mean that he maybe has an Animate Dead playing with the full place of Animate Deads? But let's first see what Enrico can do. Dark Ritual into Breeding Pit. Okay, yeah, this is what you want to do in life if you're the Thrull player. So Breeding Pit is going to make 0-1 Thrull tokens here for Enrico. So that's pretty sweet. And remember, they do it at the end step, so you immediately get a 0-1 Thrull. And I'm expecting Giacomo here to just play a land and pass. Probably wants to play an Animate Dead there. And I believe I see it in hand as well for Giacomo. So playing an Underground Sea here. He's going to pass the turn back to Enrico. Enrico's going to draw for turn. Let's see if he can find anything. Maybe put some more pressure on. Like a Bad Moon would be really good right next to this Breeding Pit. But look at this, just putting a Thrull token in play and passing the turn. So missing a land drop here. And it looks like the players here are kind of discussing the Breeding Pit. But it is correct what Enrico's doing. The Breeding Pit is giving you a Thrull token at the end of your turn, which is pretty unique. Most of these effects take place in the upkeep, but not the Breeding Pit. But the bigger problem here for Enrico is that he missed his land drop. And, you know, because he really needs some lands. He needs a Bad Moon or perhaps later in the game even an Ebon Praetor. So he can sack those Thrulls to the Ebon Praetor. And we see Enrico here putting a Thrull token away, but that's not correct actually. He should have 2. That was the correct move. But let's first see what Giacomo is doing. So he's getting back the Rasputin Dreamweaver with an Animate Dead. So Rasputin Dreamweaver is a 4-1 creature that enters with 7 dream counters on it. And you can remove a dream counter to add 1 colorless mana. So there are 7 counters in total, so you can remove all 7 for 7 mana if you would want to. And then you can also remove a dream counter to prevent the next 1 damage that would be dealt to the Dreamweaver. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if Rasputin started the turn untapped, you can put a dream counter on it. So it also kind of refills itself. So Rasputin Dreamweaver, very interesting card. Doesn't see a lot of play. And maybe it should see more play. I mean, it's super interesting. And this is a really good move, of course, for Giacomo. Having this strong creature now on the battlefield, he can start casting bigger things. And of course, Enrico here, by the way, missed his land drop again. So really a big problem for him here. Giacomo tapping 3 and using one of the counters from the Dreamweaver so he can cast a Juggernaut. So a Juggernaut, a 5/3 artifact creature, cannot be blocked by walls and has to attack if each turn if able. So yeah, it's looking bad for Enrico here. He is getting more Thrull tokens, so 3 now in total. So I mean, at least he can jump. I think if I would be Giacomo here, I would use that Strip Mine to destroy one of the 2 swamps, because then Enrico can no longer pay for the upkeep cost of Breeding Pit, and he'll lose the Breeding Pit. But let's first see what Giacomo is going to do. He's going to attack here with the Juggernaut. There we see an expected jump block here. And what else is he going to do? It looks like he also has a Dark Ritual there in hand. I'm really hoping to see the Metamorphosis in action here. There's the attack also by the Rasputin Dreamweaver, by the way. He's taken a counter off there to prevent the damage, but I don't think that's necessary because the Thrull tokens are just 0-1 creatures, so they don't deal any damage. And there's a land here from the top for Enrico, so that could be good news for him. Perhaps he's got another Dark Ritual and he can play out something. We'll have to wait and see. But it's looking pretty bad for Enrico. It's really time for him to start doing stuff. So here's the Dark Ritual. Okay, into Mindstep Thrull. So Mindstep Thrull is a 2/2 creature. Also from Fallen Empires. And when it attacks and isn't blocked, he can choose to sacrifice the Mindstep Thrull to force Giacomo to discard 3 cards. So that's pretty huge. So I guess if you're Giacomo, you want to make sure that Mindstep Thrull cannot get through your defenses. And he seems to be a little bit in the tank here, trying to decide what to do. I guess step 1 is just attacking with the Juggernaut. Perhaps you could also attack with the Dreamweaver. Then again, you probably want to keep a blocker, right? So you probably just want to attack with the Juggernaut, and that's it. Exactly, going to turn it sideways here. Going to attack with the Juggernaut. Also with the Dreamweaver, okay. Going to jump. Exactly, Giacomo doesn't have to take a counter off. So now putting the counter back, I guess, from the previous turn as well. Because he's not taking any damage from the Thrull tokens, they're just 0-1s. Yeah, Rasputin Dreamweaver is just a very interesting card. Because of those counters that you can use to prevent damage that the Dreamweaver gets, but also you can use it for mana, so it's really interesting. Let's see what Giacomo can do in his second main. Oh, Metamorphosis. Is he going to do that? But he's got all those counters. I mean, he could take all 6 counters off. Okay, decides not to. So he's going to play a Metamorphosis here on the Juggernaut. So that means he gets 5 mana of any color he wants. And I think he's now explaining this card to his opponent, Enrico. A card, of course, that you don't see that often. And I'm super excited to see it here in the game. Ooh, and he's tapping everything. What are we going to see? It's got to be a really big creature. Oh, there's a Rock Hydra. Oh, that is so cool. Rock Hydra entering the chat. Oh, that is awesome. And it seems to be a 5/5. Oh, this is so cool. Or is it a 7/7? Let's see. I believe it's a 5/5, I think. Although, I guess 6/6 maybe? It's a 6/6. Yeah, it's a 6/6. Okay, there we go. Yeah, counting is difficult, people. Counting is difficult. So it's a 6/6 Rock Hydra. Yeah, this is a problem for Enrico. The good news for him, though, is he still has that breeding pit. So he can just keep making chump blockers. I mean, we could be in for a long match here. And Enrico here seems to ask some questions here to Giacomo. Perhaps about the card Metamorphosis, a card you don't see that often. And also the Rasputin Dreamweaver, a card you don't see that often. I think it's a pretty cool deck here by Giacomo. Tapping 2 black. Okay, there we see another Thrull. I believe this is the one that you can sack for 2 black mana. It's a 1/2. Passing the turn back here to Giacomo. And I think Enrico is forgetting the Thrull token. So the problem here is for Giacomo. Yes, he's got really big creatures, but Enrico has that breeding pit. And he can just continue chumping, for example, the Rock Hydra. Because he makes a new token every single turn. And he's probably checking out power toughness stats here. So the Mindstep Thrull is a 2/2. The Basil Thrull is a 1/2. And the other token, the Thrull, is an 0/1. So there's not a lot of power there on the battlefield on the side of Enrico. Giacomo, of course, has the 4/1 Rasputin Dreamweaver and the 6/6 Rock Hydra. Here we see a Dark Ritual. 3 mana in the pool. Tapping 2 more. 5 mana in the pool. 6 mana in the pool. What are we going to see? 7 even. Oh, what are we going to see for 7? Oh, and even more. Look at this. Oh, a Fireball. Wow. Going to take care of the entire battlefield. Wow, Giacomo here. This is a huge hit on Enrico. There's the attack. Wow. That is 10 damage, halving the life here of Enrico. This is huge. And we see Enrico letting the breeding pit die here. Does he have a way to destroy both creatures? Because that's what he needs. Okay, there's a Nephneral's Disc, but it's too little too late. The disc is not going to untap, I think. And all of a sudden, this game is broken up because of that fireball. That fireball really changed everything here. There's the attack here again for 10, I believe. I think he's dead. No, there's a darkness. He's gonna survive. Oh, wow. This darkness is such a game changer. And I'm liking here the synergy between Nevinyrral's Disc and Darkness, by the way. Because with the Disc, you always need that turn to untap it. Darkness is giving you that time. So this is really sweet. Well played by Enrico. So Enrico untap, upkeep and draw. Has that Disc now. Wow, this is huge. Really thought that Giacomo had this, but the darkness changed everything. Popping the Disc, destroying the 2 creatures, following it up by a Darrellor. Darrellor 4/4 creature, also a Thrull. And it does have some text on it. It says all your black spells now cost an extra black to cast. So that's the downside of the card. But for now, Enrique has a 4/4, can start attacking the life total here of Giacomo, who is on 18, I believe. He's going to tap 2, and okay, there's a Demonic Tutor. Let's see what he's going to get. Could just go for Animate Dead, right? Looks like he's going to go for something else, checking his hand again. I mean, Animate Dead, perhaps on Rasputin Dreamweaver. That seems to be a sensible thing. But of course, I don't know what's in his hand, and it looks like he's looking maybe for a specific card here. Gonna go through the deck again. I mean, how much mana does he have? Can he hard cast like a Shivan Dragon? He's got 2, 4, 6. Could also just go for Shivan, of course. The downside of that is that you cannot do it this turn. You have to first pass, and then you can do it next turn. There we see Enrico cutting the deck. Okay, he's gonna do something straight away. Gonna tap 4, take another damage, drop to 17. Okay, there's a Rook Egg. Yeah, I mean, Rook Egg's good. Rook Egg's gonna prevent Enrico from attacking, and also Rook Egg is a great combo piece in the deck of Giacomo. Of course, wants to play his Metamorphosis on the Rook Egg, for example. Is that a Soul Exchange there? Cannot really see it, but it looks like a Soul Exchange for Enrico. And I wonder if Enrico's playing with Ashes to Ashes, by the way, because that works really well against a Rook Egg, because it removes the cards from the game, so you don't get that trigger from Rook Egg. But of course, for Ashes to Ashes, you need 2 targets. Looks like he's going to tap 3, 4. What are we going to see? Okay, there is, what's this called again? This is another Thrull. Could also be a Basil Thrull. Not quite sure. My knowledge on the Thrulls is a little bit limited, I notice here. I thought my knowledge was better. Because you also have a Thrull that you can sacrifice. I think this is it. And that then gives a counter on the creature. I think a +1/+2 counter on the creature. They're called Armor Thrulls, I believe. I believe they're 1/2 creatures. Not 100% sure though. Okay, here we see the Metamorphosis. Okay, now he's cooking. So going to sack the Metamorphosis. Going to sack the Rook Egg, to the Metamorphosis. And the bird token actually happens at your next end step. So shouldn't be on the battlefield yet. Unless, of course, Giacomo is passing his turn straight away. But I assume he wants to do something with the mana gained from the Metamorphosis. Or maybe not, but one would suspect. So a little bit in the tank here, trying to figure out what to do. So the Metamorphosis has given him 5 mana of any color. I guess the problem here for Giacomo is he's kind of running out of cards, right? Only has 2 cards left in his hand. So he's going to go for a Wheel of Fortune. Now remember, you cannot use the mana from the Metamorphosis for that Wheel of Fortune, but that mana is still in the pool though. So I'm really liking this. Oh, and he wants to play something out, but he can't, I think, because of the Darrellor, exactly. So I think he wanted to play out perhaps a Darkness, but remember, Darrellor makes it so that all your black spells are costing an extra black to cast. So I'm not quite sure if both players got that, but we see Giacomo here discarding a Metamorphosis and drawing 7 new cards. And of course, Enrico also drawing 7 new cards. Both players shuffling up here. And remember, those mana are still floating, but I wonder if Giacomo already mentioned the color of the mana, because that's something that you have to, of course, decide before he knows what's in his hand. So there we see, is this a wall of, is it dust? It's the wall of earth. It's a card from Legends 1 red and 1, I believe. It's an 06. Very good blocker. But I always mix those up, wall of dust and wall of earth. I think this is the wall of earth. But I apologize if it is not. I mean, that's a cool thing with these decks. You see cards, and yes, I know the cards, but you don't see them that often. So for me, it's also, yeah, a nice check on my own knowledge of the card pool, of all the names, of all the abilities. Enrico here really taking a moment. He's going to sack the Armor Thrull. Going to put a counter +1/+2 counter, I believe. So that means we now have a 5/6 creature. Exactly, so a 5/6. Still not big enough to destroy that wall. He's going to attack her with the 5/6. It's going to block on the wall, which is, I believe, an 06. Enrico here asking for the stats. Okay, decides not to attack them. So yeah, perhaps it's handy to check the stats before. Before you attack. Oh, there we see a paralyze. Okay, just changes a whole different route here. Gonna paralyze the wall and then swing in. Okay, fair enough. Giacomo in 14, by the way, he's hurt himself a few times because of the City of Brass there. So he's going to drop to 9, going to lose 5 life there to the Thrull, the Darrellor. Giacomo, of course, has the 4/4 flyer he can start attacking with. Enrico on 10. And there we see a Jalem Tome. So the little book, you get to draw a card and then you immediately discard a card. Quite nice synergy with Soul, Remove Soul. That's also in the, or Soul Exchange, I mean. Sorry, I keep mixing those two cards up. But Remove Soul, that's also in the deck here of Enrico. There's the attack with the 4/4. Enrico going to drop here to 6. And Giacomo decided not to untap the wall, by the way. And he's going to play an Animate Dead, I guess, since, yeah, okay, there's Animate Dead on the Rook Egg. So that's a really good blocker, of course, for the Thrull. Oh, and another Animate Dead. Wow. So much value there. Going to get back the Rasputin Dreamweaver. So that's the 4/1 creature that comes into play with 7 counters, I believe, not 6. Passing the turn here to Enrico. What can Enrico do? I mean, he has to find a way here to get through the defense here of Giacomo. He's going to draw a card here with the Jalem Tome. And then immediately has to discard a card. Now remember, if he has that Soul Exchange, it can be pretty sweet. Then again, he first needs a Thrull, by the way, to sack with the Soul Exchange. Still has 5 mana untapped. Really in the tank here. Gonna tap 4. He is playing with Hellfire, so that could be quite interesting as well. Okay, there's a Basil Thrull. Yeah, of course, remember, he has to pay 1 extra, right, for all these black spells because of the Darrellor. So Basil Thrull is a 1/2. You can tap and sack it for 2 black mana. Just a chump blocker, I guess, in this scenario. Problem, of course, for the Enrico is that flying 4/4. Passing the turn here. And Giacomo deciding not to untap the wall. There we see another City of Brass. And he's going to attack here with the 4/4. Are we going to see another Darkness? No, we're not. Enrico dropping to 2. Giacomo tapping 5, taking a mana off the Dreamweaver. Ooh, look at this. This is the Firestorm Phoenix. So a 3/2 flying creature, and when it dies, it goes back to your hand, and you cannot recast it the following turn. So you have to wait a turn before you can play it again. But of course, the fact that it goes back to your hand makes it very good with the Metamorphosis. Enrico here, by the way, using the Tome again. Could be his last turn of the first game. Can he find something? Needs to take care of that flyer. Nope, that's it. Giacomo winning a game number 1. And now both players are going to dive into their sideboards. And we will catch back up with them in game number 2. Game number 2, here we go. So Enrico, of course, on the play after losing that first game. And there we see a swamp and a pass. And we saw some interesting games, you know, some interesting cards, I mean, in that first game. And I think when you're looking at these type of matches, you just have to enjoy those cards. Seeing those cards in action, you know, seeing what they do with them. It's just fun. Rasputin Dreamweaver, a card you don't see that often. Metamorphosis, of course, a card you don't see that often. And yeah, it's just cool. Just cool to see those cards. Also, all those Thrulls, very sweet. I'm still hoping for an Ebon Praetor. I thought it was really nice to see the synergy between Nevinyrral's Disc and Darkness. That was pretty sweet. Here we see Giacomo signing the basic swamp. So that's always nice. Like some players do that. They bring a card with them and ask all their opponents to sign it. So they remember that they played the deck in this tournament. I've also done it in the past. And here we see a Soul Ring. So Bayou into Soul Ring pass. Okay, there we see the Basil Thrull. So the 1/2 creature you can sack for 2 black mana. There we see a City of Brass. Gonna tap 3, take a damage. Ooh, Serendip Efreet. Wow. Very strong creature. Almost a creature you think wouldn't really, you know, fit the day 2 theme. It's almost too good. There we see the Armor Throll also hitting the board. Passing the turn back here to Giacomo, who's taking a damage from his own Efreet. Gonna drop to 18. Tapping 2 here, taking another damage there. Okay, there we see the wall again. So Wall of Earth. So Giacomo dropping here to 17. Attacking, of course, with his 3/4 flyer. So Enrico dropping to 17. Both players on 17 in game number 2. And Enrico is under pressure. He has to win it or else he's going to lose this match. Has to win this game. Another swamp hitting the board. So does have enough for Darrellor. First going to attack. I believe they're both 1/2, so it doesn't really matter what he's going to block. So he's going to take a damage. Going to go to 16. Are we going to see anything happen in second main? No, just a pass. That's unfortunate for Enrico here. So Giacomo, of course, is taking the damage from his own Serendip, dropping to 15. But yeah, this is unfortunate for Enrico that he cannot do anything. There's the attack again. He's going to drop to 14. Let's see what Giacomo can do in his second main. Hasn't played a land yet, by the way. So let's see if he's going to miss his land drop. Going to use the city again. Ooh, there's another Serendip. Okay. Lots of Serendips here all of a sudden for Giacomo. There's another swamp. There's a Soul Ring. Going to tap 4. Okay, there's the Nevinyrral's Disc again. So the disc can clean up things. 2 more damage here for Giacomo. Going to drop to 12. There we see a Mishra's Factory. There's the attack for 6. There's a Darkness. So again, we see that Darkness, Nevinyrral's Disc synergy that seems to be working very well for Enrico. So Giacomo kind of stuck here. I mean, you probably don't want to play anything out now with that disc on the table, exactly passing the turn. Enrico untapping the Nevinyrral's Disc. That disc is going to do so much for him. And he can, of course, sack the Basil Thrull before. Ooh, this is unexpected. There's the attack. I didn't see this coming. I was kind of thinking, okay, he's going to pop the disc. But perhaps because Giacomo is so low, he's like, okay, I'm going to deal some more damage to you. He's going to animate the Mishra's Factory. And he's going to block. I believe the factory still has summoning sickness, dope, so it cannot pump itself. And now he's going to pop the disc still. So Bad Moon's gone. Perhaps Enrico forgot about it, or he wanted to make this exchange. I mean, you could say it's a good exchange. Bad Moon for Mishra's Factory. It's not too bad. Although Bad Moon is a huge card in Enrico's deck. There's another City of Brass, and Giacomo just passing turn here. Enrico finding some more lands here. There's a Breeding Pit, so Breeding Pit's back in action. Yeah, now that Bad Moon would have been really sweet. There we see the Rook Egg. Giacomo dropping to 10. Ooh, nice. He has some tokens there. Cool Thrull tokens. There's a Fear. Should there be a Fear? Pretty cool he's playing with Fear though, but not quite sure if that's the card he was going for. Okay, going for Jalem Tome. Passing the turn here to Giacomo. So yeah, interesting second game again. Giacomo on 10, Enrico on 14. There's a Suchi in hand for Giacomo. Of course, Suchi, another card that synergizes quite well with your Metamorphosis strategy, because you're also getting mana from the Suchi. So you kind of get double mana, right? That you can use, of course, to cast a big creature. First things first, though. Oh, there's a Soul Exchange. This is what you want to do if you're Enrico. Using your Soul Exchange for an 0-1 Thrull token to get back a Thrull from your graveyard. In this case, the Armor Thrull. Now remember, it now gets +2/+2 from the Soul Exchange. Yeah, this is huge. This is a big creature. Oh, it's going to put the Fear on it so it cannot be blocked by the Rook Egg. Ooh, this is so cool. Fear, another one of those cards that just hardly sees any play these days. But very cool nonetheless. Fear says that the creature can only be blocked by black creatures or artifact creatures. And the Giacomo does have, of course, the Suchi, I believe, in his hand. Could play it out. Would mean 2 damage from his own City of Brasses, but I think you kind of have to do it. You need to have a blocker for that Armor Thrull. That Armor Thrull, I believe, is now a 3/4. But perhaps Armor Thrull is a 1/3 instead of a 1/2. Could be mistaken there. So maybe it's a 3/5. But I think here the power is the most important part. So here we see Giacomo doing some tapping. There's the Demonic Tutor. Okay, so what he could do here is go for Metamorphosis. Exactly. Whoa, I'm loving this. He can play Metamorphosis on the Rook Egg with that mana. Play out the Suchi, or perhaps he's got even a better creature to play. And then, of course, he also gets that 4/4 bird token. So here we see him using the Metamorphosis. Going to take a damage, go to 8. And then he gets 4 mana +1, so 5 mana of any color. He's going to tap an extra one. Oh, he's going to play the Phoenix. This is unexpected, to be honest. I thought he would definitely play out the Suchi. Maybe he doesn't have the Suchi in hand. Maybe I was mistaken. But let's first see what's going to happen. So Enrico getting another token here. It's going to use the Jalem Tome. It's going to put the Swamp there in the graveyard. Yeah, now of course he can just attack here with the Armor Thrull. There's the attack. So attacking here with the Armor Thrull. Giacomo dropping to 5 measly life. He's under some serious pressure. It's going to be harder and harder for him as well to use those 2 City of Brasses the lower he gets. There's the attack with the 2 flyers, dealing 7. So Enrico also in danger here. I mean, double attack, halving his life total. Enrico on 7. Remember, he's already a game behind. Has to win this game to stay in the match here at the Day 2 tournament. There's the pass. Untap. Upkeep. He's going to let the Breeding Pit die. And he's going to draw a card for turn. Wonder what he needs all that mana for. He's going to tap 4. Play Swamp. Okay, going to tap everything. Oh, Lord of the Pit. Oh, I love this. And the Lord also has food there. 2 Thrull tokens still to eat. Yeah, Lord of the Pit, 7/7 flying creature. This is a huge problem for Giacomo. Giacomo now on 2 has to deal with this huge Lord of the Pit. I mean, if he can destroy the Lord, he wins the game. It's as simple as that. But if he cannot, he's going to lose the game. Or unless, of course, he can find a blocker for that Armor Thrull. There we see a strip mine. And I'm now really doubting, by the way, if he really has a Suchi in hand, because he would have played it out already, I think. So perhaps he doesn't have a Suchi. So Giacomo really in the tank. Now he's on 2, finding that strip mine. So remember, he cannot tap both of his City of Brasses anymore, because that would kill him. He's really in trouble here. If he can find a way to block the armor Thrull, you know, then at least he can survive a little bit longer. There's the attack with both. Going for it. So Lord of the Pit blocking the 4/4 here, I assume. So 3 points of damage here dealt. So he's going to drop to 4. Giacomo in the tank here. Trying to find a way out. Passing the turn here. It's looking really good for Enrico. Enrico sacking a creature to the Lord of the Pit. And is he going to win here with an attack by the Lord of the Pit? That would be epic. There he goes. The Lord of the Pit for the game number 2 win here. That means it's a 1-1. And we're going to go to an all-decisive game number 3. Game number 3 here is about to begin. Who will win? And I believe that Giacomo already took his turn, but decided not to play out anything. So again, he wants to discard. Look at this, discarding the Juggernaut, passing the turn, because Giacomo, of course, being on the play after losing that second game. Oh, look at this. Look at what Enrico is doing. Oh, that's so dirty. That is so dirty. Giacomo, of course, wanting to play an animate himself, but Enrico also playing animate deaths here. And taking that card out of the graveyard. And this could be decisive, actually. Now, do remember, it's a 4/3 because animated gives -1/-0. So it's not 5 damage. But this is so disastrous for Giacomo. We do see Enrico, by the way, not finding any lands. Okay, there's a wall. But walls cannot block the Juggernaut. So that's not going to work. It's looking so good for Enrico here. That was such a good move. There's the attack. He's going to take more damage. Oh, he's blocking. You cannot block with the wall, people. Oh, man. Yeah, this is a little bit painful to watch because this is a big thing, you know. This can make really a difference. It's hardly ever relevant, you know, if in regular old school, because unfortunately not many people play walls anymore. I think walls are so flavorful, but it is very relevant in this match. Because then Giacomo already would have had 8 damage extra. He would be on 8 instead of on 16. That's a huge difference, of course. Basil Thrull here, by the way, being played out by Enrico. But it is what it is. If both players don't see it, then it's the reality, I guess. He is playing a Fear now to go around the wall. That actually isn't a problem in the first place. That's kind of funny, isn't it? But anyway, Giacomo now on 12. What I do love about this is that Fear also played a pretty big role in that second game. Such a classic card. And you also had later the ability Fear printed as a keyword on cards that later got replaced, by the way, by Intimidate. And Giacomo here looking at his hand. Looks like he cannot really see a way out of here. Okay, there we see a Fireball. Yeah, has to Fireball his own Juggernaut. Yeah, that's pretty painful. But you have to do what you have to do. It's better than dying. Remember, this is the third game. This is the big decider. Who's going to win here? There we see another Thrull. I believe it's also a Basil Thrull. This is really sweet art by Christopher Rush, by the way. I love his color use. His purples, his yellows. Okay, here we see an Anime Dead on his own Juggernaut. So these creatures keep coming back. So the Juggernaut coming back for the second time. It just doesn't want to die. Oh, there we see a Paralyze. There's the attack here. Both Thrulls going to block one. Going to take a damage. Drop to 11. And Nico passing the turn here back. And Giacomo probably going to untap the Juggernaut, right? Unless he has a better option. Could also, of course, play a Metamorphosis over it. Has a Metamorphosis in hand. Not sure if he has green mana, though. Kind of hard to see those dual lands. 2 Badlands, I believe, or 3 Badlands, an Underground Sea, and a Volcanic Island. Jesso doesn't have any green to his disposal. Attacking for 4 here. And Nico dropping to 15. Untap, upkeep, and draw. And Enrico, of course, can just attack again with the 2 Thrulls, dealing damage. No, he's going to sack them to cast a Darrellore. Of course, he can sack them for double black. So sacking them to cast a Darrellore and playing a Felwar Stone. Passing the turn. But Darrellore being a 4/4, you know, is blockable by the wall. So this isn't really doing much for Enrico, actually. Looks like Giacomo decided to keep the Juggernaut tapped here. Passes the turn. There's another swamp here for Enrico. What can he do? He's going to play a Bad Moon. Now remember, he's got to pay 1 extra because of the Darrellore. So that's why the Bad Moon is now 3 instead of 2 mana. Ooh, there we see that Serendip Efreet again. It is risky. He's on 11, right? Although 11 is pretty high. So it's not that risky. And of course, the Serendip Flies is going to fly over the Thrull army of Enrico. There's the pass. So Enrico needs to take a damage here, by the way. Should go to 10 exactly. There's the attack for 3. Yeah, and it makes no sense, of course, for the Giacomo now to untap the Juggernaut, because if he does, the Juggernaut needs to attack every turn, of course, if possible. And the Darrellore is now a 5/5. Oh, Rock Hydra! That is sweet. So Rock Hydra coming in as a 3/3 creature. Not that big, but still pretty cool. And he can put extra heads on it during the upkeep. There we see an Armor Thrull. So this Armor Thrull is a big deal. He can sack the Armor Thrull next turn to make the Darrellore big enough to kill the wall. That could be a problem for Giacomo. There's a sacrifice. That's interesting. Could sacrifice the Juggernaut for 4 black mana. Exactly. Maybe then he can cast something bigger. Okay, and now he can cast the bird. So he's gonna play the bird. 3/2 flyer. Attacking for 3 through the air here to Enrico is going to drop to 9. Both players now on 9. This is a pretty exciting third game. And Enrico now going to draw a card for his turn. This could be a big moment for him. He's going to sack the Armor Thrull. So that means the Darrellore is now a 6/7 because it's a 4/4, but gets +1/+1 from the Bad Moon and then +1/+2 from the Armor Thrull. So it's 6/7. And to destroy the Wall of Earth here. I mean, that's a huge Darrellore that he can destroy a big wall like that. And there's another Armor Thrull. So another Armor Thrull. Can make it even bigger. Giacomo should take here still a damage, I believe. Should drop to 8, I think. Also could have grown ahead here on the Rock Hydra. Okay, he's going to do it now. Now remember, you have to make that decision in your upkeep, so before you draw the card. Now remember, this is a super casual event, by the way. You know, this is day 2. It's just players having fun. So please don't be too harsh on them in the comments. There we see a Darkness, by the way. Well-timed Darkness again. I have to say that Darkness is really impressing me. It's doing so much work for Enrico. Untap, upkeep, and draw. So I think Giacomo playing this anime deck makes sense, because then at least he's got a blocker for the big Darrellore. That's very important. So probably going to see attack with Darrellore Chump. Or he could take the damage, and can he then potentially kill Enrico next turn? That's a big risk though, also because of the darknesses in the deck of Enrico. Gonna attack with both here. No, just with the one. Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, there we see the Chump. Has one Armor Thrull there on blocking duty. Another one here, Basil Thrull as well. And the nice thing about the Armor Thrull, by the way, is you can block before damage is dealt. You can sack the Thrull to put a counter on one of your other creatures. And Giacomo here dropping to 7. Play a Volcanic Island. So, I mean, he really needs green mana, but cannot find it, though. Attacking here for 6. Also attacking with the 4/4 Rock Hydra. There's a Chump block on the Rock Hydra. I believe it's a 4/4. It's hard to see with the dice. And, ooh, Wheel of Fortune. I'm loving this. Yeah, Wheel of Fortune. That makes sense. Not sure what Giacomo wants to do here. Okay, he's asking if he could still play out the ritual, and Enrico says it's okay, or Enrico, sorry. So he's going to draw 7 cards now, 3 black in the pool. There we see a Soul Ring. And that's it. Yep, Enrico winning here. Wow, I mean, well, is he winning here actually? He could still... Oh no, of course, he only has 1 blocker for 2 creatures. And he was too low, I guess. And of course, he's also getting damage from his own Serendip. So wow, this was a close match. This was a very, very close match. And, you know, I have to say, not everything was played out accordingly, you know. I think we could all see that. But like I said, remember, this is day 2, super casual event. Please be nice here. The people know each other. They play very relaxed Magic. But I think it's good to know that Juggernaut cannot be blocked by walls. So maybe that's a good lesson that we can all try to remember. Like I said, it's not relevant that often, but sometimes it is. And, you know, it can make a big difference. Enrico still won the match though, so it didn't really impact the outcome at the end of the day. Congratulations, Enrico, here winning with your Thrull deck. And I also have to say, Giacomo, I love your deck as well, man. I love it. I love the fact you made a deck around Metamorphosis. You've really showed Metamorphosis in this match, and that was also a reason for me to make this video, because I'm like, whoa, somebody made a deck with Metamorphosis. I have to make this video and put it on the channel because, you know, I'm a Timmy, and I really love it when people like you build decks like this, take them to tournaments and show them. So thank you very much for that. And also, of course, thank you for watching another episode, another video right here on Timmy Talks, the channel where we talk old school Magic. And if you've enjoyed this video, please take a moment to like, share, and comment on this video. All these things are free and really help the channel move forward. Talking about moving forward, you can also become a patron of the show. Check out patreon.com/TimmyTalks for all the information.
What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? Early in the morning, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, early in the morning. Putting in the longboat until he's sober, putting in the longboat until he's sober, putting in the longboat until he's sober, early in the morning. Way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises. She rises early in the morning. Pull out the plug and wet him all over. Pull out the plug and wet him all over. Pull out the plug and wet him all over. Early in the morning. Way hey up she rises. Way hey up she rises. Way hey up she rises early in the morning. What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? Put him in the scout to the husband, my son. Put him in the scout to the husband, my son. Put him in the scout to the husband, my son. Early in the morning. Way hey up she rises. Way hey up she rises. Way hey up she rises early in the morning.
Igitus figitus somba kazee.